This episode is sponsored by Esper Strategies. Esper Strategies is a leader in ERP marketing, specializing in helping business grow through tailored strategies and data-driven solutions. Led by Haley Korlenko, one of the top marketers in the ERP industry. They start with an assessment, identify quick wins, and guide you toward generating qualified leads and measurable results. To learn more, visit esperstrategies.com or connect with Haley Korlenko on LinkedIn. Now, let's get started with the episode. So finally, we have you, Chris. I am so happy that you joined ERP Talks podcast.
Oh, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
So, the first typical question, tell us more about yourself and how you get involved in the ERP industry.
Okay, so it's a strange one in how I got here. Originally, I have an accounting degree. So I went into public accounting and worked for one of the big six firms early in my career. And that was fun. And then I left, got a little burned out, went into private as a controller, and I implemented an accounting system for a construction developer. And it was Timberline. And we put that in. And then I left that there and I went to work for Laidlaw Waste Systems, and they were looking for a job cost system for the landfills. So I implemented Timberline again, but I bought it from someone who used to work with me at Cooper's. And after I got it done, and he was like, "You're natural at this. Like you did your own training manuals, like you rolled this out to your team. Come work for us." And I'm like, "What?" He goes, "Come work and be in consulting." And when I was in college, I always thought when you heard about careers, how consulting sounded fun. I had no idea what it meant.
Yeah.
So that's how I got in the consulting industry, was just literally from a friend who's like, "I need you to run the Columbus, Ohio office. Come in." And that's where I learned Sage, Timberline, Great Plains, and just sales logics. And that's where I got started in the career. I did sales and did some implementations. I moved back home to Cleveland and got into the corporate office, then became vice president of sales and marketing, was an owner. And then, we sold that to Centerprise Advisors and did a big roll up right at the .com era. And then ended up moving to Florida and working for Ideal Consulting, running their consulting practice, and then it just kind of steamrolled after that. But literally 30 years of doing ERP, which I thought that was a cool idea back in college, but I didn't know what it meant until I actually just kind of got thrown into it. So I know 12 ERPs now over the years. My last one being where I'm at Third Wave now with the SAP Business One, but it's been, I can't believe I picked up another one. But yeah, I literally have worked with 12 over.
Yeah, and most of them with the small and mid-sized industries, or you work also for big companies.
I mean, always where we've been throughout my career, I think up to $1 billion is
Oh,
fair game in the kind of what I would call middle market. Because I think a lot of these what they would call mid market software packages definitely can scale. So you can definitely scale those up. And we have three or four companies here at Third Wave that are $1 billion. So
yeah.
that are still on SAP Business One and have not gone to for HANA.
So before you come to third wave, you have been working as a vice president focusing on the sales and marketing. So you have been involved in the sales, how to sell the ERP and how to market to the ERP?
Yeah, I sales and marketing, as well as doing some of the consulting, depending on what part of my career I was in. I was COO at Ideal, so I was really ran the entire practice. So I was basically the CEO of that division. And then when we went to Tribridge, when we sold to Tribridge, I became managing director of the Southeast. Had about half the revenue of the company, so I was managing about 45 million, and about 350 people were underneath. I had lots of directors help, doing the, working with them directly, but it was a pretty big portfolio. And then, I got out about 120 million is when I left there about 10 years ago, and I went to Nextech, and then ran sales for Nextech, and then
Yeah.
Third Wave found me to come over and be the CEO of Third Wave.
So do you think the sales and marketing are difficult for the ERP industry?
I think sales and marketing is always a challenge. I think marketing is, I think the hardest part about marketing is being consistent, because there's no golden arrow. It's not like everyone goes, "Oh, I've got this great marketing idea. It's going to be fabulous. We're going to rock this and it's all going to be fine." It's just not the case, right? I think you have to get back to basics and do good blocking and tackling, right? And, have a good SEO plan, do some ABM, do some industry campaigns on the industries that you're good at, right? Get that message clean as you can. But I don't think there's anything out there that's like, oh, if we were doing this, we would just be like have many more leads than we would know what to do with. I don't think it works that way. It never has. It's always just be consistent. Don't turn the funnel off, right? And as you build that consistency, then I think you get a natural flow of leads monthly. And then we track them all the way down, from an ML to an MQL, SQL. We track those conversion rates from the beginning all the way through a close. So, and then it's just tweaking the messaging, right? If it's not working, it's either the database or the messaging, right? So either I've got bad data, I don't have good context to reach out to, and making sure and stay consistent with your social as well, whether it's LinkedIn or other social avenues that you can market to. But again, it's all about consistency, right? And making sure that you've got a good network.
That sounds fair. We have many, many ERP business owners, and all of them struggle with the lead generation. So,
Mm-hmm.
for that reason, I asked you, but you said something I believe it's super important: consistency and a clean message. So, I like that one. And also tracking, to have a good tracking of what you have got and try to clean it and try to like follow up, more follow ups, a lot of follow.
It's a lot of follow-ups, but it's 7 to 10, touches before someone's going to reach out. And it's hard with ERP because you're looking for a window of a company that is either frustrated with what they currently have, are starting to outgrow it, have different business requirements, and they're willing to switch, right? And they don't switch often. They don't switch 7 to 10 years. So you're finding that window of when a company is looking for a solution to backfill something that's not working for them currently. So it's not like it's every day that's everyone's going, oh, I want to switch, right? You have made an investment. You're going to hold on to that investment as long as you can until you realize that the technology is not keeping up with what they need to do as a company and support the growth of the company. So that's when they're looking. So it's not like every day that that company could be 7 years away, but you want to constantly be messaging them. So when they're ready to raise their hand, you're at least in the game, right? You want to be in that opportunity of being able to at least have a meeting with them and see if you can help them.
Yeah, that sounds good. So finally, you are the CEO for Third Wave Business Solutions or Business Systems.
Business systems.
Okay. So, in your opinion, what sets Third Wave Business Systems apart from other ERP consulting firms in the market?
Yeah, for us, I think it's a couple different things. One, we treat our customers as partners, right? We want to be their trusted advisor. We're very transparent. We're going to tell you what it can do, and we're going to tell you what we can't do. And
Okay.
we're going to be very honest with that up front. And we don't play like, oh, I think it'll work this way. No, we want to make sure that we're very consistent, and we're making sure that we've got a good fit. And the reason why we spend so much time understanding their business because we have 100% go live. So we have never failed a project. Oh, hundreds and hundreds of projects. We have gotten the customer live. Okay, it doesn't mean it's not bumpy. There's always pain in ERP when you're implementing, but at the end of the day, we are committed to get them live. So we have 100% go live, and I don't think a lot of consulting firms can say that, right? All you hear about is ERP is hard and all these failed implementations. But I was 100% go live at Tribridge over all of those projects as well, and we have the same here. And I think it's just making sure that you're doing the right thing and be honest with the customer what you can and can't do, and be very transparent and making sure that you're looking for the right fit that you can make this project successful and then deliver.
Okay, so let's say I am a new customer for a Third Wave
Mhm.
and I signed all the documents. Now what? What will happen? What is the journey that you will take me to like the go live? What will happen?
Sure. So first thing we do when we do an internal kickoff, so that the sales team who spent a lot of time in discovery with our pre-sales team delivers that message back to the consulting team that's going to deliver the project, right? And then we'll sit down with sales, consulting, and the customer in the kickoff. And that kickoff is really important because that's where we spend a lot of time on what's the risks. Like, what does success look like for this project? All right, is there that go live date set in stone? Is that a floating go live? Because a lot of times they pick a date and then you're like, well, how important is that date? And you're like, oh, that's just a date we picked. Okay, well, we want to make sure that if there's something important and reason why there's a go live set, but you want to make sure you create the successful factors and criteria for those also what's the risk? Like, hey, where could we stumble through this project? And we manage that through the project, and we set that together as a partnership, right? And then when you go in the design, it's really spending the time to make sure you understand their workflows, their as is state, and the to be state. Document that well. Find out if there's any gaps, because you're not going to know everything during the sales process. It's impossible, right? There are things that are going to come along the way. But as long as you keep expectations in line, and they will get out of line every once in a while. But I think good project management and a good PMO office, making sure that they're over communicating, always making sure that when we do get out of step on an expectation, that you get it back in line, because you never know what the customer's thinking. Never ever know what they're truly thinking. They have an idea of what it looks like and what the final result and product's going to look like, but you don't know what that is. They don't really communicate that to you. So you got to make sure you're always alignment, with expectations. And then for me, I always think when you get to conference room pilot testing phase, that's the most important. Making sure that their business case scenarios are really worked through the customer, and they really spend the time to make sure that they saw a sales order go in, they saw an invoice, they saw a PO go out, and whatever their business is, right? And making sure that the result matches what they expected it to be. And they have to do that testing. And we hold their hand during that testing. But at the end of the day, the customer has got to do it. And I think if you get that right, make any adjustments, because they're going to see it. You get some training up front, but when you really see it with your data in there and you're doing your testing, you might want to shift some more stuff around, or maybe tweak a couple things. Maybe a custom field needs to be added, or how the workflow works, you want to make an adjustment. Get that right, because I think go live's not that hard. I think if you did your testing correctly, and then the cutover is not that bad, because you did all the hard work in conference room pilot. Where things go sideways is, and this happens many times, is the customer signs off that they did all the testing, and then you get to go live, or right before go live, and you find out they didn't do the testing, but they signed off on it.
Okay.
And that's when things get unrealistic. Everyone starts to get stressed out. You're trying to now get everything coordinated. And we've had a situation where, we had 40 workflows in a CRM project. Customer signed off, and he's testing them the day before at like 10 o'clock at night. And he's panicking, calling me on my cell phone saying, these workflows aren't working. I'm like, well, you tested them. Well, I only tested 5 out of the 40.
Mm.
Okay, so, and we have to go live at 8 o'clock. And we pulled an all nighter to fix the workflows and make him go through that. And we got it done, and he stayed up all night with us, right? So we had a partnership, and we did it. This is not a third way, but we did a partnership and had to do it, right? And we got it done. But that shouldn't have happened. If the customer did what they said they were going to do, and we got confirmation, he signed off on everything, right? That's when projects can go sideways.
Yeah.
And I think once you go to post, once you're in go live, I don't think go live has to be this dramatic, oh my gosh, I can't believe we're live. I think if you've done all the testing and we've done good training, and you've done train the trainer with your team, it should be a pretty quiet day. There'll be a little bump once in a while, but it should be a pretty quiet day.
Yeah. Then the support after the go live. You guys support the customers.
Yep, 100%. So after go live, we're there for closing. We're there for that first round of invoices printing and everything that they need to do. And then there's usually follow up work. We'll identify other projects usually during the implementation that we're not in scope. They're like, oh, I wish we could do this, and I wish we could do that. And we just
Mm.
write that down and have that as a table item for them later. And then we do a debrief after we go live, making sure that, go through what worked well, what didn't go well. We want to debrief with the customer to, see, what we could have done better for them, and get feedback from them. And we make sure that we do that. And then just support them going forward, right? We have a support team that does that. They always get a consultant, a lead consultant for life. We have account managers that work with them as well, right? Client success manager and that lead consultant. Doesn't mean that lead consultant's doing the work, but they do have a consultant that's been part of their project, and they're always available to them. But we try to do that to make sure that they have the best possible support afterwards as well. And then whatever follow up work or additional things that they wanted to do that they didn't get to, we'll take a breather after go live, let them kind of get the system going, get comfortable. And then as they want to start other things and want to accomplish other projects, then we'll take those on as well.
Honestly, this is unbelievable. And also, what I like the best part or the newest part for me is the risk assessment at the kickoff. I believe this is super important to tell them, hey guys, take care. If we like didn't do, for example, the test, it will be like a big deal. there will
Yeah,
be a lot of issues. So this is a big risk. If we if you don't have like a project manager to manage the project from your side, this is a big risk. So I believe this assessment is vital. It's super important. So I will write this down to make sure that we will do this. We will prepare something like that. It's I really like that one. And also post implementation support is also, I believe, is important. I like also the idea of the table and the new requests thing. So everything is organized. So customers are super. Your customers are super lucky having you. This mindset is important in consulting. So good for them, and I believe good for you also to have this quiet go live thing. It's not easy because everyone feeling like frustrated. And so SAP Business One, you third wave are focusing more on the manufacturing and wholesale. Is that right?
that is correct.
Okay. So for the manufacturers and for the wholesalers, what is the unique value do you think that SAP can brings to these sectors?
Sure. So I think the big thing is to remember SAP Business One has 80,000 customers around the world. It's the
Yeah.
largest middle market ERP solution out there. It's not it's not S4 HANA, so it's not the big enterprise, multi-year complicated system to implement that can do a lot, right? But B1 is really meant for the small to mid market. So I think manufacturers at many levels have complexity. B1 does a nice job with manufacturing. It's got good traceability. Inventory management's really strong. We have really good add-on solutions for warehouse management and for e-commerce that are fully integrated that work extremely well. So we've got a good ecosystem, right, over the years. And we were the very first partner to implement SAP in the US, SAP Business One in the US. We did the
Wow.
very first deal and did the very first implementation
I
20 years.
didn't know that.
Yeah, so we've been doing it for a long time, so we do know, where it fits really well,
Yeah.
and it's fairly strong in that whole inventory. And then we've written our own products to also supplement that. So we have a low-code business portal app that we wrote. We've got a really nice integration workflow tool that we wrote. One's called Versago. BizWeaver is the workflow tool, and then we've written some other modules like credit card, Ship Easy, and also container management. So people that are exporting, importing, and container management's challenging with supply chains and COVID, and
Yeah.
knowing where your ship is and when is it ever going to get to port, how long is it going to hold, and being able to kind of understand when your inventory is coming, right? So you can fill your back orders to your customers, and making sure that you're keeping your supply chain and your lead times appropriate, right, to when you need to order product and when it's going to actually arrive. So we've done a couple of things around that as well that makes it kind of interesting. But we're just really good in that whole wholesale manufacturing, consumer packaged goods, multi-channel, omni-channel. That's really our bread and butter. That's probably 75-80% of our base is
Yeah.
working with those types of customers, because B1's very flexible. You can add, you can configure it by adding custom fields, and you can write little triggers inside the software where it's not heavy development. If you need to write something custom or a little custom, you would think we would consider heavier configuration. But all of that you can do within B1. It's very flexible. It really is very flexible, and I think that's why it's got so much adoption in the industry.
So most of the add-ons are created by third wave.
Well, we've written our own. We have a whole dev team. So we have 10 products that we wrote. Other partners do the same. Other partners sell our products, so they can buy it and use it for their customers as well. So we do that with a bunch of partners around the U.S. as well.
Yeah, that sounds good. So the credit card also is important. I believe the also the warehouse management is important.
Yep.
So you guys are killing it. You guys have everything for each industry. If you are in the wholesale, you will need like EDI, you will need like e-commerce. You got them. And also, as you mentioned, the container thing is this is I like that one also. I believe we will have like another discussion after the podcast about the partnership. Yeah, because in the credit card payments, everybody is asking about the credit card payments. And there is only like one or two companies that I saw their product, and it's okay, but if you guys have something like that, and also because you have the experience with SAP Business One, so the customer will find everything. This is unbelievable. I like that so much. So, do you guys also use any other add-ons like from the partners, like Boeing, for example?
We've done a little bit of Boyum over the years. We work with Avalara for sales tax, right? So
Yeah,
that's that's big out there. We also use Solver, so that's a budgeting reporting tool that works very well. We have a number of customers on that now. So people that want to do a more sophisticated budgeting with workflow and approvals, and also drill down financial statements. We use Solver internally as well, but we do a lot with Solver, and we think that's a good tool. We use Links for MES out of the UK, and that's a pretty common one that most ERPs hook into. I think we have 3 or 4 projects this year just with Links with
yeah.
customers that want a little bit more shop floor control, right, and a little bit more on the MES side. So all that stuff is fully integrated, so it works really, really well. But we work with a lot of the standard ISVs that really across Microsoft, even Sage, and
Mm.
others out there. So there's a lot of crossover with all those products as well.
And the CRM also, you mentioned that there is a project and there was like an integration. It's not a third wave product, the
Yeah,
CRM.
no, that was a Microsoft CRM project that we did, but we do have CRM in B1. So there is CRM that does campaign management, ticketing, opportunity tracking. You can do all that in B1. It's not most of the ERPs that have CRM. It's not a full go Microsoft CRM or a Salesforce, right? It's really more customer service. I would call it more customer service CRM. It can do the job. As long as if you're not looking for a real heavy duty, I've got 100 salespeople and I've got to track them and I've got all, that's when you really want a full go CRM. But it does a nice job. It will do most of the work that you need it to do. But we look very, if people are asking for that, we really making sure we got a good fit there on what they're really trying to accomplish with it and to make sure that it fits well.
Okay. So before we leave SAB Business One, there is a couple of questions. The first one is about if you want to see something in SAB Business One. If there is something that you would love to see in the product itself, what it will be.
All that we wish we had.
So no, like no ERP is 100% perfect.
Correct.
So, in your opinion, for the US market, what is the thing that if SAP like developed it or put it in SAP Business One, it will be like perfect?
Oh, got it. I think honestly, it's very functional with what we have today. I think the biggest thing is finishing the web client, right? So we've got
Yeah,
partial web client done. That's very good. It's the same UI that HANA Public Cloud is. So it looks
yeah,
exactly the same. It's really good looking, and our customers are starting to adapt it. But we're waiting for the final version of that, right? So we're still waiting for that to be 100% complete. It's got its use now, and you can use it for sure. And customers are starting to already adapt to it. But once we have that done, that's what we need. I mean, that's the biggest thing is getting that fully done, and they're dedicated to that. SAP is working very hard to get that finished.
yeah. So the web client, your answer
Yep,
is the web client. I like also the web client. It's the UI is amazing.
really nice, very
Yeah,
clean.
yeah, it's very clean. A big issue with it is because we use Boeing too much. Boeing is still not working in the web client, but I believe that SAP will figure this out. So the web client is, and I believe it's a good sign that there is something bigger coming. Like if this is the look at the beginning, so I believe that they will do something better in
Yeah.
the future.
Well, and what we've done is, we're already working on the development side of the web client. So we did take our container management and we've already put that into web client.
Wow. So,
So yeah, they gave us some tools in the spring, June timeframe for us to do a little bit more heavier work inside the web client. Not just add fields, but to do a little bit more dev in there. So we were able to take our container and move it over to the web client. And they're going to give us even more functionality there to do more of that because we might take some of our other products over to web client as soon as we can. So as they continue to release, and they're releasing, quite a bit throughout the
yeah.
year, we continue to just absorb that, test it, see if we can make it work, and that was exciting that we were able to port that over.
Yeah. So the last question about SAP Business One, it's a comparison. I know this question is you hear it all the time,
Yeah.
especially from the customers. So you have worked for many companies or with many ERPs. For me, only in my whole life, I used SAP S/4HANA, SAP Business One. So
Mhm.
everything was SAP. And last year, Acumatica. So I did it. And for sure, QuickBooks. And QuickBooks is not an ERP,
No.
but I didn't use like Microsoft products. I didn't use like Oracle NetSuite, Sage, Epicor, all like the other ERP solutions. So, in your opinion, you have been working with all of that and now with SAP. What is like? I don't want to make a comparison, but why, in your opinion, SAP Business One is better for the small businesses, if I can say that?
Yeah, I mean, they're all good. All ERPs are pretty good.
Yeah,
Like there's not much difference really between a lot of them, right? It comes down to the implementation. It comes down to picking the right partner to make sure that they understand your business,
hmm,
they understand that you have solved problems in my industry for a customer just like me, and you can show that to a prospect. That matters the most in my eyes. But
yeah,
when I look at like why B1 over other things, one, if you need on-prem and you don't want a cloud offering, there are customers that don't want cloud.
yeah,
That's still out there. I mean, we've closed a number of them this year that were like, oh, we want on-prem. We don't want to be in the cloud.
mm,
You know, and they looked at the cloud solutions, and and we beat NetSuite a couple times with that because they did not want the cloud version. They wanted to be able to, they had servers that were new and they wanted to take advantage of what they already have in house. And we have a third wave cloud offering in AWS. So we do have a lot of customers, leveraging that for people that don't want to manage, right, their servers anymore. But I would say when you're thinking about, well, why B1? One, if you're wholesale distribution manufacturing, it's a good solution. It's not complicated. You can get up and running on it pretty quickly, and have a lot of functionality. I think the drill down in the audit trail is pretty slick, where you can look at a transaction from start to finish and drill
yeah,
down into it on that graphical board. That's pretty like I never saw that before. I was like, all right, that's pretty cool. Like when I first saw it, I was like, that's a pretty cool selling point. But I just think it's got a lot of functionality. I think the price point is pretty inexpensive, right? You can do subscription, you can do still software and maintenance, right? So you can buy it the way you want to buy it and you can deploy it the way you want to deploy it. I think that's an advantage. Having a solution where you go in and say, I think this is a good fit for you. Here's the reasons why. We go through it, we show it, and then you're like, how do you want to buy it? Some people still want to buy software and maintenance depending on how many users are buying. When you do the ROI, it could be cheaper. Some people want to go subscription because they want that known cost, right? And then how do you want to deploy? You can go private cloud. You can go on your own on-prem. You can deploy it any way you want to. So it does give you some options where some other competitors are like, no, you're in my cloud. That's all you get.
yeah,
And we're going to tell you when you upgrade because we're going to upgrade you all the time. And some customers can't consume 3 or 4 upgrades in a year, right? Those are sometimes can be hard for, change management and trying to take on new features and everything else. And we give you the ability to upgrade when you want to upgrade. You got to stay somewhat current, right? And it's important to do that. But you have more choices, and I think some customers still appreciate that.
yeah. I like what you said about all the ERPs are good, but it's about the experience of the partner. It's about if the partner knows really your industry, your business. I really agree with you on that. This is super important. Maybe some partners have the best ERP, but they are not a good partners. Then you will have nothing. So you need someone who take cares of your solution, your business, and this is very, very important. So
Yeah,
I like that one. So also the on-prem, yeah, it's a good option now from SAP, but I don't know what will happen in the future if they will keep the on-prem or they will like
everything will move to web client, but
yeah,
again, you will still have an option to go private cloud, still do it
yeah, yeah,
on-prem if you want, right? So you're still going to have the same options of deploying, but
yeah,
it'll be a web browser solution.
yeah. And third wave also, I believe you guys have the cloud hosting service.
We use AWS through another partner in the UK, but we work with them. But yes, we have, I don't know, 50 or more customers in in our cloud,
Mm, yeah,
and whether they're SQL database or HANA doesn't matter, and it's a very good solution. And we have also includes managed services, so we're always a couple times a month looking at that environment and making sure that everything is working properly and making sure that you've got enough bandwidth and enough disk space and
Hmm.
SQL servers running properly. So we know we do additional services to it as well.
This episode is brought to you by Esper Strategies. With years of expertise in ERP marketing, Esper Strategies provides tailored solutions designed to help ERP businesses grow. From initial assessments to identify quick wins and creating strategies that deliver qualified leads, Esper Strategies is built for results. Learn more at esperstrategies.com or find Haley Korlenko on LinkedIn. Now, let's get back to the episode. Yeah. So, my next question for you is you are the CEO of Third Wave and you get involved in everything. You get involved in the sales, the marketing, the accounting side of the company, everything. So, two questions here. In the ERP industry, the ERP cycle, what is the most difficult part in your opinion? Is it before the implementation, like the sales and marketing and all that, or it's during the implementation, or it's what do you think?
So from a customer perspective, like what's the hardest
Yeah,
part?
yeah,
I still think it's still the implementation, especially around the testing part. I still think that's the most important to make sure you get it right and that you've tested it and it works the way you thought it was going to work and the way you intend to make it work.
yeah.
And I think that whole change management is the hardest thing for the customer.
Mm,
Right? Change is hard. You got your team that is so used to the old system and they're just love it that way. And why are we changing? And I don't understand why we're doing it and I don't want to, right? And you have others that are like, oh, I can't wait for the change. And you've got to have your power users that are, your evangelists, right, that are trying to make sure the whole company is excited about moving forward, right? And having that sponsorship from the executive team to make sure that they're on board with it. All that has to happen for it to be successful, right? They have to, at the end of the day, you're building the car, but you have to turn the keys over at
mm,
the end and they have to own it, right? You're still going to support them. But the customers that don't take the keys at the end and just say, "Oh, just do it for me," and they're not involved, just set it up and just tell me what I need to do, and those are terrible, right? Those are not going to be successful implementations. You have to have them engaged and being a partner with you throughout the whole process, right? Because that whole change management part is so hard for the customer. It's just terrible, right? Even when
mm.
we do internal stuff, we change stuff all the time internally, right? We know how hard it is. We are sometimes the shoemaker's kids, and we're trying to improve our processes and stuff to make it easier for customers to do business with us. And that change management stuff's hard, but to make sure you get it right. So I
Yeah,
still think it's getting the testing right and getting change management throughout
yeah.
that implementation process
Yeah.
solid.
I believe also that the business owners should involve their team while they are taking the decision.
Yeah.
Because when they will do that, they will make things easier for us. People will not resist the new change or the new system. But when they find that the decision maker took a decision and there is something coming new, they start resisting. So I believe involving them, like telling them, hey guys, we will have a new solution, it will
Yeah.
make your life easier. I believe this is a good mindset if they do that. So the change management and the testing, Gary Feldman told me the testing, and there is a lot of people talk a lot about the testing. I believe the testing is not easy phase. Yeah. So, moving to the next question, and it's about something that most of the people like say it's a comparison between the ERP and QuickBooks. So, some business owners say, I'm fine, my QuickBooks is good, I don't need an ERP solution. They think that QuickBooks is an ERP.
Right.
So, how do you help those clients to understand the difference or to make a decision to move from QuickBooks to the ERP?
Yeah, I think it always depends on the business and the industry. So I think QuickBooks has its place. It's great up to 10, 15 million a year, right, in revenue. I think those customers should be on QuickBooks, a lot of them, right? Because if their businesses aren't complicated, they may not need much more,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
But as they grow or they're start to take on more, maybe they're taking on a new product, or they're going to manufacture something different, right? That's where QuickBooks just can't handle it, right? It becomes the part where it's not that flexible, right? And you really need something to support the business objectives, and that's when it's time, right? If they're doing a lot in spreadsheets, then it's time. If most of their data is coming out of spreadsheets from QuickBooks, and they're trying to manipulate the data, or they're trying to do calculations in MRP, or doing other things outside the system, that's when now you don't have one version of the truth. Spreadsheets are all over the place. That's when it's really time to make a move. Because I think QuickBooks is fine down. I mean, I've had companies that were $100 million on QuickBooks. Now we took them off that, but they went all the way up there. And I'm like, how are you even surviving? It's because they had 1,000 spreadsheets and a couple side modules running outside of QuickBooks to make everything work. And you get to a point where you're so used to doing it that way, you don't take a step back, because you're in the forest, and you can't see outside of that. It becomes really challenging until something breaks, or they lose data, or all of a sudden reporting's not quite right, and how do we lose all that revenue, and all of a sudden our margins don't look right. Something has to happen, right? And then it becomes a little more emotional of, oh, something happened, we need to take a look at that. And it's probably because you just can't support it anymore, right? So I think that's that time to look. But again, at the low end, if you're a small company, $1 million, $2 million, $3 million, QuickBooks is probably fine for a little bit, depending on what your business is.
Yeah. So the 10, 15 million for me is very big number. I don't know if like a 15 million company using QuickBooks will survive. I don't know, maybe, but I believe that you have more experience than me and you get involved with more businesses. So maybe 15 million can work on QuickBooks, but also the complexity is important also, and you mentioned that maybe they are not making too much revenue, but their business is complex and they can't handle it on QuickBooks. So there's many parameters, so
Yeah,
I
I mean,
agree with you.
they could be a distribution company with 5 big contracts, and the billing isn't that complicated, right? And they're billing them 5 million each, and it's over a series of and it's easy, right?
Yeah.
But another company could be a $4 million company with low dollars, high volume,
Mm.
and QuickBooks might be too much.
Yeah.
Like they can't do it, and then now you got to go find a new system, right? Even though they're a smaller company, but they're because of the transaction volumes are different. So it all depends on
Yeah.
their commercial transactions too.
Yeah. Okay. So the AI,
Yes.
and you're in the ERP industry for many years, and now the AI come. Are you guys cooking something now? Are you guys like building something, or how do you see the AI? This is the first question. And are you guys like doing something in the backstage?
So I know you sent me some questions ahead of time, and that was AI was one of them. So AI is a tricky one. I still think. I think it's still a little unknown. I think people are gravitating towards it. I think in our world, I don't think it's moved as fast as what other areas are moving from ERP.
Yeah.
I think it's complicated for the partner, because what's the responsibility as the publisher for AI, and what's the responsibility as a partner for AI? And those are two different conversations. So, I think the publishers are moving on AI. Obviously, Microsoft with Copilot's like going really quick, right? I think SAP's got some nice AI coming out, that I'm pretty intrigued with. Joule and some of the stuff that they're doing. MyWave, right, is coming out kind of as a third party AI tool
Yeah.
ish.
Yeah. Yeah.
That we're still looking at, and we've taken some good looks at that, and it's intriguing. But our customers aren't asking for it that much. We're having conversations and saying, "Hey, how can we take advantage of AI with you guys? Is there things that you wish that you could do with AI, or things that you're thinking about?" We're not getting a ton of response yet. We're having the conversations because we want to understand so that we're ready
Yeah.
and can help them. But I haven't seen a ton of it. Now, from our product standpoint, I've been pushing AI over the last year of what should we be doing, and we are going to roll out some AI in our BizWeaver workflow integration tool. So think of a customer, they've got 50 integrations that they're managing through the tool with workflows.
Yeah.
And they were built by 4 different people. Maybe we built a few, the customer built some, and the customer's like, I don't know what these workflows do. Like, you have to dive into them to understand kind of what's the purpose of them. We are introducing some AI to document those workflows.
Okay.
So it's going to actually go in, and we've tested it, and it's 95% accurate. So it's doing a really nice job. So it will go through there, all their workflows and integrations, and document the purpose, everything, why it's doing it, how it's doing it. And we're going to roll that out in one of our next releases.
Yeah.
So I'm excited about that. So I think that's going to be really good. I also am thinking about AI with container management. How can I use some AI with that so it's anticipating more, right, on the arrivals of containers
Mm.
on ships?
Right.
Because if you've got AI always looking at the ship and they can anticipate delays or bad weather, right, in the ocean or something that's going on, and anticipate and give some better reporting, and also reporting on what I should do about it, type of AI reporting. So we're investigating that one because I think that was intriguing too. So for me, it's just still it's important. We know it can be helpful. I'm still not sure how to leverage it yet, and our customers certainly don't know how to leverage it.
Yeah.
And we're asking questions, and we're being very inquisitive and trying to understand kind of ways that we could leverage AI for our customers, and it's not black and white yet. It's still pretty gray.
Yeah. So let's say I am a company that will develop an AI solution that can help your ERP, like your SAP business one. What do you want from me to do for you? Like, what is the product that if you saw it, you will buy it?
I think it has to be very configurable. I think it needs to be able to look at multiple sources of data points, right? Not just your B1. Um,
Okay.
to build that intelligence, and I think it just has to be super easy to use,
Yeah. Like SAP.
like SAP. Because I think some of the AI tools, I mean, forget about Chat GPT, super easy to use, right? You get really good at asking questions and keep refining and refining and refining, and then you get a really nice document. We use a lot of chat in our marketing, right? I mean, we're leveraging Chat GPT every day,
Yeah.
right? It really does a nice job. You can get a lot done, right? It helps build content. You still have to tweak it, put it in your voice, but at least it gives you a starting point. I like not starting from zero when I write. So I've been leveraging it a lot more to get, 60%, 70%. At least it gives me a good starting point, and then I can tweak it and edit it the way I want to hear it, kind of want to voice it. But I think, I think when you get into like building the data points out in AI and having enough data to make it meaningful, I think is a challenge still. Like we look at even some stuff with our wikis and being able to use AI to do some chat and some questions around it. I just don't have enough data to make it
Yeah.
meaningful.
Yeah. So I like the one that chat, if we can say the chatbot, like ChatGPT inside SAP, and I can ask this chat thing. I want my last 5 or 10 invoices for this person.
Yeah,
And it have like hyperlinks. I can click on the link and it opens in a new window, and I can see the invoice. Or I can ask them, what is my bank accounts balances now, or my I
right.
believe something like that will be very, and my wave is maybe working on something like that. So it will be really cool. I believe that customers will love that because it
I
will
think
make,
they will too, but it's not there. Like we don't have it yet.
yeah, yeah, we don't have
Not
it
it's
yet.
not
Yeah.
it's not quite there yet. Because even like we have live chat on our website, right? I use a chat bot in after hours, but I don't do it during the day because it's more meaningful for a live person to answer the chat.
Yeah.
Because the chatbots are not bad, but they're not a person,
Yeah.
and they're never going to be able to ask the right questions and get the right answers of what you're trying to help them with while they're on your website. So for me, even us, we use it after hours, in the middle of the night, we'll use it and it gathers some data and sends an email and then we get back with them. But during the day, it's live chat. Like we have 3 or 4 people that man that because I
Yeah.
still think it's better to have a real person do it.
Yeah. So, is there any trends or any technologies beside the AI that you believe it will benefit the ERP industry in the future?
When you asked that question, I was thinking AI the whole time.
Yeah.
I still think it's how do we leverage AI with ERP to make that meaningful for the customer, to get them better answers and better data to make a good decision.
Yeah.
Right? At the end of the day, it's always about making the best decision you can for the business with the data that you have. And if AI can get you there faster, that's a competitive advantage.
Yeah. Okay, so my next question for you is about success stories. So you guys have, I believe, like you mentioned, 100% go live. and
Hmm.
100% like successful implementations. So can you share with us like two or three success stories that you believe that SAP Business One make a big difference for their business?
Sure. So we've got one big customer that international that had a failed implementation on B1 and found us at the beginning of the year, and we're implementing them now. And it's going very, very well. And they have a big manufacturing, and they were having serious supply chain and understanding what their inventory levels were at the warehouse level. So they were having really struggling trying to get product out the door on customer expectations that they've set, and they just can't do it. Old system is an old system, and there's so much manual process that's happening in there that it's just overwhelming for them to get any kind of data and understand inventory and what's short, where do they have access because they've overbought, underbought, people are moving, inventory items all over the place in the warehouse, and we've solved that for them. And now they're becoming way more efficient. All that manual process is going away, and now they're able to actually meet their expectations. And it's gone very, very well. And that was a very big project. It's almost a year implementation,
Wow.
but it's gone very, very well. And our team spent the time to be on site at the warehouses, spending time with the team, and they said, oh, your team understands our problems, and you guys have explained B1 to us in a month that we didn't understand 6 months with another company, right? So we make sure that we're really always educating and always kind of making sure that the customer understands the value and what you can do with the solution. And that's gone very, very well, and they're going to be a raving fan. I can't wait to do a case study for them.
You started from scratch with them like
Yeah, they started over. They abandoned. They were at almost go live, and they abandoned because they knew the solution that was built was not going to work.
a year. This is like this is a big implementation.
Yeah, it's a big implementation. Oh, it's multiple warehouses in multiple places in the country.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's pretty big, but it's gone very, very well. And it's hard, right? Because they've been burned and they're anxious, and you don't want to fail again. So that puts a lot of pressure on their team, right? Which then puts pressure on our team, right? So,
Yeah,
but
sure.
it's just managing expectations, over communicating, really strong weekly status reporting to make sure that we all know where we're at, and just see it through. So, and that's what we did there. And I would say another good one is we've got a retail company that does a lot of omni-channel, and they work with the Wayfarers of the world, right? And Amazon and stuff. And we've done some really fun integrations for them, right, with Amazon, to really streamline how fast they can move product, and integrating that e-commerce sites that they have and making sure they can successfully manage those customers quickly, get them set up, and ship product out the door. And we've done some really good integration there for them, and that's come out great. We need to do a Wayfair one, but we have to give Graph IQ out for them, EQ. So we're getting ready to release that in our BizWeaver product so that we can go ahead and get that set up for them as well, so they can do the Wayfair integration, because it's hard when it's all manual, right? Moving
Yeah.
data back and forth, and it becomes cumbersome for the team. So we're trying to streamline all that for them, and just they can go quicker now, right? And it's just operationally efficient, and they're saving some money.
Perfect. So, if you will give an advice to your colleagues, the CEOs, especially in the ERP industry,
Yeah.
what it will be?
I think the big one is don't be afraid to take risks. I think, we need to always keep evolving in what we do and how we provide services to the customer. And I think, for me, it's always fail fast, take on risks. What works, do a lot of it. If it doesn't work, kill it quickly. Tell the team you killed it. Tell them why we killed it and why it wasn't a great idea. And I always own that, in everything that we do. If we make a mistake, I'm the first person to raise my hand and say it's on me, and keep going forward. But I think keep taking risks and keep evolving. I think partners that don't evolve and don't think about different ways to provide services or service offerings, and you're not evolving that business, and it could be taking on new industries too, right? Whatever that it is, it could be writing more product, right, to fill industry gaps, right? All those different things that you can do. You got to take risks, because if not, someone's going to just pass you by, and
Yeah.
then you're going to be like sitting there with a handful of customers, and you're trying to figure out how you're going to make payroll. So I think you constantly have to evolve. I've told our team, I don't know if they love it or not, but I tell them, get comfortable being uncomfortable. We're going to continue to evolve. We're always going to be evolving. Like, we want to future proof the business. we always want to keep evolving it. I take care of, a number of, I've got a big team, and I've got family, right? There's family in those teams. And that matters to me, like that we have a successful business that will continue to thrive, that can provide them what they need to do for their families and provide those salaries and bonuses and everything that we do. So I take that very seriously. So I want to make sure that we're always thinking about what's next. And we've made a lot of change since I took over a year and a half ago. And, we've done pretty well with the change, right? Some of it's worked and some of it hasn't. And I've raised my hand and said, this didn't work. We're not going to do this again, and this is what we're going to do to fix it. And we're going to go down a different road.
Yeah.
But you got to keep evolving.
So, what makes you have this motivation to continue evolving?
It's always been ingrained in me. I've always been a servant leader. So I always think about the team first, reduce the barriers that get in their way to do their jobs, make them feel empowered to do their jobs, right? I want them to make mistakes because mistakes, that's where you learn from. You don't learn
Yeah.
from winning. You learn from losing or making a mistake. So, but I need them, that needs to be in a safe environment, right? So that they can make those mistakes, and one, they won't be really bad, crazy bad mistakes, right? But they're mistakes that they can learn from and grow. So for me, I just have always kind of been built this way. I've always liked to improve. I'm the person that sits in the room with the leadership team and go, we're bad at this, we're bad at that. And because I've always wanted to continue to improve. It probably came a lot from TriBridge, and because Tony, our DiBenedetto, our CEO there, we did thousands of new things every year. Like, it was amazing how much we accomplished internally on making changes to improve the business. And that mindset has just stuck with me. So, I've done better this year celebrating successes, right? Instead of just saying, oh, we got to work on this, we got to work on this, we got to work on this, right? We have to celebrate too, because we're all working really hard to improve the lives of our customers and our partners and our team. So we want to constantly always evolve that and, take a break, take a step back and go, guys, we got a lot done. Like, I try to do that, in our management meetings as we accomplish a lot of stuff, to make sure that it's appreciated and that we should have a little success and celebrate once in a while, because we are evolving right now. I mean, the business has changed a lot. I'm in private equity, right? We're owned by Alpine and Holdco of Evergreen Services Group. And then under that, there's a Holdco of Pine, right? Which Armando, right? You had Armando on here,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But we're in the same Holdco of the ERP group. And, we all are improving together. We share ideas together in that group, which is pretty special when you think about we're all competitors in the room, but yet we're all sharing what's working, what's not working, and we're all trying to help each other grow and be successful, and we're all trying to win together, which is exciting, right? We pass leads back and forth all the time. It's not a good fit for me. I'm going to pass it to someone within my group, and I've gotten leads from other people in the group that we've closed, and it's working really well. But it's always that constant improvement. I think that's just, I don't know where it came from, but it's always been in my DNA.
Yeah, this is awesome, especially that part when you sit down with your competitor and he's your colleague also.
Right. And we don't make, what's fun is it's not weird. Like, you would think it would be uncomfortable. And, we were with our group at a leadership meeting with Evergreen in the spring. They pull all the opcos together. So, 100 companies. And I walked away just excited and ready to go. And we sat in that room in our Pine group, and I leaned over to someone I have one-on-ones with all the time. And I was like, this is a very special group. Like, this is pretty special, like what we're doing
Yeah,
right now, and sharing and trying to constantly evolve and together and figuring out what's working and what's not working. Do more of that, right? And do less of the stuff that's not working, and sharing those with the rest of the group. It's been really fun. And we're all doing pretty well because of it. It's really helping.
yeah. So my next question for you is for customers, an advice for people who are considering an ERP solution. In your opinion, what is the roadmap or what is the things that you will advise them to make sure of?
I think the biggest thing is, we talked about already. ERP is ERP, right? There's not tremendous. Now, there's certain ERPs that are better for industries than others, for sure, right? But if we're taking it generically, right, just looking at it in that lens of a horizontal lens, most ERP systems kind of do mostly the same things. They do, right? AP is AP. General ledger is general ledger. There's not much change in those things, right? Now, there might be some nuances in your business industry that you need to find a little stronger solution for. But at the end of the day, let's just keep it generic. It's the partner. It's like doing your homework on your partner, understanding their methodology. I don't believe quick starts work. I know there's lots of companies out there that are doing quick starts and they're promoting these really cheap implementations. All that means is they're throwing all the work on you. And if you're doing your day job, you can only provide so much, work to put a new ERP in. And if it all falls onto the company, there's no way it's going to be successful. And if it is, it's still going to be bumpy, hard, and exhausting, and your team's not going to be happy at the end anyway. So for me, I think it's always picking the right company that understands your industry, has fixed problems just like you for another company that you can talk to, or at least show that you've done that for them, and find a partner that's very transparent, that says it the way it is, and has a really good track record of implementation. And I think sometimes you just take the lowest price and it'll be fine.
Mm,
The lowest price usually isn't the right answer. At
yeah.
least I've never seen that to be the right answer. It's pick the right partner that's going to do it right. No shortcuts. Don't take shortcuts.
Awesome. So, my last question for you, Chris, is you have a time machine and you can go back, let's say 20s, when you have been like 20 years, what
Okay.
is the piece of advice you will give to your younger self?
So for me, it's take more risks sooner in my career. I think
More
that's
than that?
really, the accountant in me is conservative at times,
Ah,
right? So I think especially when you have a young family, I take the responsibility of providing and taking responsibility to make sure that my family's safe. Probably could have taken some more risk earlier in my career, or even recently I could have taken more
mm,
risk where you kind of like, no, this is good, this is working, I'm pretty happy in this job, I don't want to flip the boat on my family. I don't want to take a risk where I might not be able to provide. So I wish I would have become a CEO sooner in my career. That's probably the big
mm,
regret that I have is I was groomed for that at Tribridge for sure, and I took longer than I should have to take on that role, and I should have done this earlier in my career for sure.
yeah,
So
yeah,
that's I love what I do. I love my team. I've got a great team, and I love everything that we're doing right now. And their customers are awesome. So for me, I've got a great situation now, but I could have done that 10 years ago.
yeah,
And I'm glad I finally landed where I am
yeah.
today. But and it's a journey and a path, and you learn along the way, and you learn about yourself a lot more. Sometimes it's just hard to get out of your own comfort zone too,
Mm,
but you have to
yeah,
do that. So that would be my advice to my younger self. Like, get more uncomfortable. Like, I played it a little safer because I was afraid of upheaval, not providing or not putting our family in the right situation.
mm, yeah. So finally, you did what you dreamed about. So maybe the timing, but I believe that you have more to do. And I believe that you will do more success stories in the ERP with Third Wave, with Evergreen. And I believe that Evergreen chooses great people to manage their business, you and Armando. And it was a true pleasure for me to have you, Chris. This episode, I learned a lot from you, and this is was the idea of the podcast. I want to sit down with you and ask you questions that I'm curious. I want to know. I want to learn. I'm at the beginning of my, let's say, my life, maybe my career life
Hmm.
journey. So I want to learn from people like you, like Armando, like Gustavo, like everyone come to the podcast. I learned a lot from you guys. So thank you so much for accepting the invitation. And I believe we can see each other's maybe in SAP Summit next
That
year.
would be great. I would love that. I love Gustavo, by the way. He's a good partner with us. So
Yeah.
he just sent me an email yesterday. We were just talking yesterday, so he's a good person.
Yeah. Thank you so much again, Chris, for accepting the invitation.
Oh, thank you for having me. I appreciate it. I really enjoyed the time. So